Hey guys, what's going on? Mike the Caveman Q here again, Paleo Problem Long Island, MikeTheCaveman.com, and we're going for Ask Mike the Caveman, episode 228. We're doing it again as a live stream Q&A, which has become our regular Monday night occurrence, 8 p.m. Eastern. So just be aware, generally, as the last month and a half, every Monday night, 8 p.m., that's what we're doing. So come on in, ask me anything health related, and I'll be happy to jump on. So when you pop in, just get some questions. I'll wait for people to come on in, and let's get started. Hey, Steph, what's up? So, just like I said, think about some questions, put them out there, and we'll answer them live, give you some live feedback as we go. While we're waiting for some questions to come in, I'll talk about something that I'm thinking about doing for a video. There was the big controversy over whether martial arts are arts, right? Came over the Golden Globes, big thing today. And I'm thinking about doing something about that because anybody who knows me knows I'm very passionate about mixed martial arts and, martial arts in general. And the fact of the matter is, they are definitively an art, right? The amount of effort and time that goes into it is super crazy. So it's a matter of actually putting in the effort and getting that going. Yeah, we'll see. But depending on whether or not I actually want to do that. What's up, Chris? Like we said, just wait for some questions here, and we'll get started. So, again, thinking about some other stuff. The Taco Bell video the other day has gotten pretty popular. And in case you missed that one, make sure you check it out about whether or not Taco Bell is actually healthy. And I think you might know the answer, but the fact of the matter is, lately there's been a big push to start putting out there foods and everything that are... That's dirty, man. Health related. I guess technically his health related to that. Not that I know about, Chris. Not that I know about. That's dirty, man. He is retired, last I heard, but I don't think he's dead yet. No. But there's been a big push to make things that clearly are not healthy, try and push them to be healthy. And, I mean, that's always been the case, but that article recently I took down regarding Taco Bell. Like, I don't even know. How can you even think about that possibly being healthy? Just no. The quality of the meat, terrible. All the ingredients they add to it, terrible. It just, no. Other things. Oh, so, we'll, over Rebel Health, we're going to be pushing a new... Well, we're going to be putting together, not pushing. It's up to you if you want to join or not. Putting together a new program and be focusing pretty hard on the ketones and everything, both getting into ketosis and or using exogenous ketones. And that's going to be coming about next month, so keep your eyes tuned for that. I'm helping Michael lead that one. And regarding that, I've been coming across some crazy new information regarding the benefits of how ketones work and been digging really deep into that biochemistry. So I'm going to have some new cool stuff to bring to you on that. And, but for now, like I said, just wait for some questions. Guys, a little bit slower than normal. You usually have some questions by now, but what's up, Joe? What's up, Mariana? How you guys doing? Like I said, just wait for some questions here. Otherwise, I'll start just rambling on a little bit, some more, like I've been doing. I appreciate the likes, but definitely could use some questions. Okay. Trying to put on weight. What do I do? That's a great question, Chris. I actually have a whole video on that one, but I'll give you the short version here. So essentially, ways you put weight on. And there's a crazy concept, but actually eat more calories, right? Now, I know that seems so obvious, everybody knows that. But beyond actually just eating more, a big thing that people don't focus on is their gut. And the reason why that's important, if you have issues with your gastrointestinal tract, you're not going to absorb your nutrients as well. So your vitamins and minerals, your protein, the things you're going to need, the building blocks to get bigger are not going to be there. They're not going to be able to use them. They're not going to get into your system. As such, making sure your gut is in order is super important. So if you're looking to put weight on, things like bone broth gelatin will help to basically heal the gut lining. Things like DGL will help to heal the mucosal lining. Quality probiotics, things like Megaspore, will help make sure your gut bacteria are in order. And I know it seems like a crazy concept to focus on your gut to actually gain weight, but you need to make sure you're actually absorbing everything. From there, a quality multivitamin, something like nutrients, will help to ensure your micronutrients sufficient. And after that, eat more food. Pretty much it. If you're trying to gain weight, you definitely can go a little bit heavier on the carb end. So make sure you're getting enough protein, getting enough fat, getting enough carbohydrate. People trying to lose weight are probably going to go on the lower-ish end of the carbohydrate scale. But for you, you can start eating sweet potatoes, white rice, plantains, yuca, taro, all that kind of starchy stuff, particularly after a workout. Does beer count as a carb? Yes, it does, but beer is probably not great for you overall. If you want to have alcohol, I've talked about that a couple of times, go with clear liquors, go with wines, things like that. But beer, unfortunately, while tasty and fun, not necessarily the best for your gut. So if you're trying to focus on that gut, probably not a great idea. So, all right. So that kind of covers that one. I'll put a link afterwards on... I'll put a link on that one after the Q&A ends. Okay, Joe, how do you feel about alternatives to milk? Coconut, almond, cashew milk, which is the best? Now, okay, so I did a whole video on that one, Joe, too, a while back. I'll tag that one. Remind me to tag that in the comments afterwards, after we finish here. In terms of what are the other ones? Take some music, feel better. Actually, I'm at the tail end of the circle, so this is like the last day or so, hopefully. Probably the last day. I actually feel really good, but I had some nastiness going on. But thank you, Craig. Going back to that milk though. So of the non-dairy milks, best alternatives, definitely 100% coconut milk. Okay, coconut milk, the fats in it, the MCTs that are found in it, are going to be better overall than the omega-3 and omega-6, particularly rich nut oils, milks. Excuse me. So that being said, in terms of those, coconut milk, ideally ones without too many additives. There was, actually, weirdly enough, the best one used to be at Walmart. I forgot what the company name was, but it doesn't exist anymore. I haven't seen it in years. But Native Forest, things like Thai Kitchen are excellent. So those coconut milks are good. In terms of almond milk, really think about how many nuts it would take to gather, shell, grind, soak, sprout, and then put through the cheesecloth to make a coconut almond milk or to make a cashew milk. Are they better than, let's say, soy milk or rice milk? Yeah, absolutely, 100%. But are they better than coconut milk? Not a chance. So I'm very much a fan of quality grass-fed dairy if you tolerate it. If you have to go with a plant-based one, coconut milk is 100% the way to go. From there, homemade almond milk and cashew milk, those could be okay, sparingly, but they're going to be higher on the omega-6 end. Okay, so let's see. Coconut sugar, is it okay? Now, let's be clear. It's still a sugar. Should you be using it all the time, Suzanne? No. However, it is going to have slightly more of the vitamin and mineral end. It's not terrible. I'd be better off, I'd recommend more either using non-caloric sweeteners, things like stevia, monk fruit, or xylitol. From there, in terms of sugar alternatives, though, that are actually still sugar, raw honey, grade B maple syrup, organic, and then coconut sugar. Is it okay? Yeah. But it's still a sugar. Is it going to have a better micronutrient load? Absolutely. So how does it stack up next to raw stevia? Now, regarding raw stevia, let's be clear. If we're talking about stevia in the raw, the company, that one, I forgot what they add to it. It might even be dextrose. They might actually be adding sugar to it. They add something to it. I can't remember exactly what it is, but I'm not a fan of stevia in the raw, just like I'm not a fan of Truvia. Neither one. Truvia adds erythritol, and they might be adding something else to it as well. Any way you slice it, not really a fan of those. Stevita is the company I'm definitely a biggest fan of when it comes to stevia. The one over at Wild by Nature, I forgot what company they are, that's pretty good. Fairway has a house brand that's excellent. I like those as well. in terms of coconut sugar versus raw stevia, depending on your particular issues. Someone like Susanna could probably do fine with some coconut sugar occasionally. Joe, definitely you could do that fine as well. If you have blood sugar regulation issues that are particularly severe, they're related to more on the diabetes end, I would be sticking away from that. Definitely going towards the stevia end though. In terms of that case, raw stevia. David, thoughts on exogenous ketones? I have a lot of them. In fact, I've done, I was the guest expert for Rebel Health with Michael and Joe. Regarding thoughts on them. My question, if you're still here, because I think that question was a while ago, I hope you're still here, is what are your thoughts for, okay? What I mean by that is using them in place of ketosis or using them as an adjunct for athletic performance or therapeutic. So if we're talking about therapeutic for seizures, epilepsy, cancer, 100% behind them. I definitely believe in their use. Athletic performance, I still, again, absolutely believe in their use. Regarding explicit fat loss, it's a common misconception. Exogenous ketones will not cause fat loss. That's a common problem people have in the community right now. However, there is some interesting data regarding their use for appetite suppression, and they will obviously raise ketone levels. So in terms of having the energy, if you're using the exogenous ketones with your meals, you're probably going to end up eating less food over time. Raspberry ketones. No, Craig. No, every time the ketones come up, that comes through. Damn it, Dr. Oz. Please forget what the wizard says. Do not listen to the Wizard of Oz. Raspberry ketones are crap. Period. Ketones refer to something your body produces when you go super low carb. Exogenous ketones, so endogenous means inside. Endo, like you know, an endoscopy goes out the back door. Inside. Exogenous, exit, outside. Yes, Prove It, Keto OS, or the other companies, things like Julian Bakery's coming out with theirs now, and which that one's complete crap. I never trust them on anything. But there's the other one, Keto Cana and Keto Force, and et cetera, et cetera. Regarding those, that's a whole nother animal. Essentially, there is particularly some data for that for people with conditions. If we're talking about absolute just pure fat loss, absolutely not. I don't think that that's their purpose. I think they are as an adjunct to different things, but not as a replacement to actually eating real food. Just saying. Evil Julians, yes. Okay, so everybody's blasting with the questions now. I'll come back to some of those there. What's up, Alex? What's up, John? What's up, Laura? Alex, also out here tuned in from Portland, Oregon, in a brewery. Nice. What's the best kind of beer you could drink health-wise? Obviously not taste. If you can get your hands on a gluten-free one, that would be great. If you can't, try and find the best one that seems, if they have an organic beer, try that one. Hey, Mira, I see you're on here. If you have any recommendations on beers in Portland, that'd be great. You're the world traveler. But I would definitely look for an organic one. I would look towards a gluten-free one, ideally. But okay, Joe, definitely doing more coconut milk than because I'm noticing that I do not tolerate dairy at all. Interesting, Joe. Is now when you say you don't tolerate dairy at all, are you making sure that everything you're getting is grass-fed organic, or are you cheating on the side and letting in some conventional? Because I know myself, occasionally I'll have some conventional, particularly if I'm eating out, and in that case, when I do have the conventional stuff, I notice I get wrecked a little bit. It does mess me up a little bit, but I still end up having it because cheese. Delicious. Getting blasted with likes and hearts. Thanks, guys. Stavita, awesome. Craig, Raspberry Ketones, I already made fun of you for that one. No, Wizard of Oz. Yes, Julian Bakery is evil. Okay, Josh, what's up, man? Hey, Mike, I asked you a while ago regarding heartburn. I've been taking your advice regarding the various probiotics intake as well as apple cider vinegar, which have been working great. So thank you. Absolutely, I'm so happy to hear that. David, yeah, so I definitely have some plans to be talking a little bit more about that. I recently came across a talk with Chris Masterjohn, and he did a whole thing on the true, real, deep down biochemistry of ketosis. And it actually, I mean, I've dug deep into the literature on that on quite a few times, but the way he broke it down was awesome. And you probably saw it. I think Karen posted it recently, IPMG. But I came across it a couple of days ago, actually, and I was like, wow, that is amazing. And if you if you can get past the geek part, if you know this, if you can appreciate and understand the science on it, it's pretty impressive. We've been focusing so long on carbohydrates and insulin and on protein when it comes to ketosis. That might not be the key. The key actually might come down to oxaloacetate, which is one of the intermediates on the Krebs cycle. Everybody who doesn't speak science, I'm sorry, you can cover your ears right now, I guess. Essentially, if you remember from science, when you make energy in your body, it goes through something called the Krebs cycle, whatever, it doesn't really matter. The point of where I'm going with this is that they're actually, by using MCT oil, coconut oil on steroids essentially, or potentially even those exogenous ones, we might be able to induce a ketosis with a little bit higher of carb load than therapeutic ketosis requires. And again, I'm sure I'm just boring the hell out of like half of you, and I'm sorry. But the short answer is eat more coconut oil and you'll be closer to ketosis. That's essentially where we're going with that. Yeah. That being said, when there are times of stomach heartburn, what are the best way to get rid without having to take something like Zantac? Just more apple cider vinegar. Okay, so that's a great question, Josh. What you could do is pick up some activated charcoal. Okay, now activated charcoal, what it does is absorbs practically everything. So they actually give it to people in the hospital who are overdosing. So it absorbs practically every chemical because, so the way it works is with, I really need a whiteboard behind me. Start drawing in the air. Essentially what happens is charcoal, it's a carbon, and carbon has 4 slots, which is the ideal thing when it comes to science. You want to be able to pick them up. So the fact that it has those 4 slots, it can absorb, it can bind to chemicals at 4 different places. So it pretty much is carbon over and over and over and over and over again. So it forms a net, essentially, and it can absorb pretty much everything. So in the case of that acid burning you there, the activated charcoal can actually go and absorb that excess acid that's kicking back into your esophagus, causing the burn. So in terms of immediate relief, activated charcoal is actually a great idea. Yeah, so there's that. All right, what else you got for me? In terms of other immediate relief things, things like ginger are a great idea. Licorice root. So again, if you have a vitamin shop down by you now, there's something called DGL, deglycerinated licorice. I think Enzymatica is named the company, whatever. So thoughts then on what helps with digestion, not simply heartburn. Okay, so in terms of absolute digestion, those probiotics are definitely going to help. The DGL will help with the lining. In terms of actually breaking the food down, though, then you're going to look into things like digestive enzymes, okay? So, something like Fibrenza, I work with them, they're awesome. It's a systemic enzyme where basically works on your whole system, your whole body, and it can break down both fats, proteins, carbohydrates. It can break down fibrous tissues, people coming back from injuries and stuff. It can break down scar tissue, but it can break down clots in the blood. So it breaks and digests pretty much everything. In terms of pure digestion issues, it'll break down those foods to the point that you're actually going to be able to absorb them pretty well. So systemic and digestive enzymes are definitely something to look into. Papain, bromelain, lipase, amylase, all the other proteases are great ideas. Yeah, you said Fibrenza is definitely the best one, but if you absolutely had to, you could pop over to a vitamin shop and see what they got in terms of digestive enzymes. What else we got? But yeah, so other things in terms of digestion, again, keeping the gastrointestinal tract intact. So, like I mentioned before to Amodio, I mentioned about actually putting on weight. Healing the gut is probably one of the biggest things you'll possibly be able to do in terms of improving your health overall, pretty much everything. So, in terms of that, bone broth and gelatin as well. So in terms of digestion, making sure that gut lining is intact is going to be huge. So taking the bones, so getting a rotisserie chicken or cooking your own chicken and just taking the leftover bones, or making some ribs and taking, again, those leftover bones, put it in a crock pot on low for 24 hours, throw in a little bit of apple cider vinegar from before, throw it in the water, fill it to the top, throw whatever spices you want, cook it on low for 24 hours, and then you have your broth. You drink that, like a glass of that every day, and you'll definitely start seeing some benefits. It actually also helps to improve your joints. It helps to improve skin, hair, nails. I could definitely use some of my nose right now, right, Craig? All right. No problem, man. Okay. So, you made it last night? Nice. I mean, you're a chef, though, so, like, you kind of cheat. You're not it's not that easy. It's not that impressive for you to make that. I really need a good meal plan. Low carb, obviously. I tend not to eat a lot throughout the day. I always end up having a big meal. Need to cut that out. Now, I don't necessarily agree with that per se. So, there's definitely something to some intermittent fasting. The key, though, is with that large meal, make sure it's the right things. So, So, honestly, I generally eat 1 to 2 meals a day. I eat within like a 6 to 8 hour window, but they are generally very large meals. That being said, is intermittent fasting for everybody? No. But if you tend to do that, it's not necessarily wrong, is what I'm trying to say. So, I know everybody hears, gotta have 6 meals a day, gotta have 3 meals a day. That's the normal one, but I gotta be healthy, gotta have 6. No, that's just a way to get you to buy more supplements. So, buy more protein and stuff. Realistically, 2, 3, 4 meals is fine. In terms of that, eat real food, man. That's really what it comes down to. I mean, we can always sit down and figure something out, but in terms of what to do, more often than not, get in some quality fats and animals, eat vegetables, eat fermented foods, sauerkrauts, kimchis, kombuchas. Eat, I said, if you do well with dairy, yogurts and kefirs, things like that are a great idea. What's up, Julian? How you doing, bud? Okay, I do that a lot. I can go through day on 6-hour intervals. Yeah, man, honestly, that's pretty much what I do. Just make sure you eat the right stuff during that time frame and you'll be all right, When it comes from there, make sure you get moving a little bit. Sleep's on point. And from there, in terms of the food, don't eat Taco Bell. Did that whole video the other day about whether you should be eating Taco Bell, whether it's actually healthy or not. And it's not. So don't eat Taco Bell and you'll be all right. You hear bad things? What bad things do you hear? Are you like Sixth Sense? You see bad things? Don't go on 4chan, I guess. So we got. So we're closing on the half an hour mark. I usually like to go with this one. So let's see if we got any more questions before we pop on off. Thanks, Cash. I appreciate it, brother. Yeah, but if you have any more, wait, not eat. All right, you have bad things about not eating throughout the day. Gotcha. What call it? So yeah, no, absolutely. So I did one on that one in terms of whether it's bad or not. So I did a whole video on that. It becomes bad if you have a problem with respect to your adrenals or your thyroid. So if you have hormone issues, then not eating throughout the day can definitely be a problem. However, if you don't have issues with those, think about it this way, okay? If you didn't have a refrigerator, you didn't have a supermarket, you didn't have fast food, you didn't have access to food, if you actually had to go out and hunt it, gather it, harvest it, when would you eat? You wouldn't eat until you actually did things. You'd have to walk around and pick those berries and nuts. That didn't sound right. Whatever. You'd have to go around and harvest those fruits and vegetables. You'd have to go around and spear that pig and drag it back from you, drag it back to your hut, and you have to light it on fire and drag it. So you had to exercise a whole bunch before you ever got a chance to eat. If we as a species had to eat every 3 hours, every 2 hours, what do you think would happen? We made it this far. How? Because we can go long periods without eating. Every culture around the world has fasting as part of its actual religious and or just traditional ceremonies. Why? Because we're designed to fast a little bit. So, provided you don't have any major hormonal issues, particularly the adrenals from stress or thyroid issues, fasting, the eating in a 6-hour window, it's fine. I do it all the time for a number of years now. The reason why you're told that you have to eat all day is because you buy more food then. Why not tell people to buy more food and go to the restaurant? Because it's a lot harder to cook 4 times a day at your own house. So what do you gotta do? You gotta buy it on the road, or you gotta, it's a way to get you to buy, or you have to buy shakes, or you have to buy bars. I need a candy bar. I need a power bar. I need whatever. I need a Quest bar because I need to eat every 3 hours. No. So that's basically where we're at. If you didn't have access to that food and you had to actually gather it and stuff beforehand, you didn't have to eat. You had to do things first. But kind of circling around at this point. Kim, when making bone broth, how important is it that it's from grass-fed and or pasture-raised animals? Great question. So this is where it gets in. When it comes to the bones in and of themselves, provided they're not like the fatty bones, like the oxtails and everything, don't necessarily store as much fat. Don't necessarily store as much toxins. Toxins are generally stored in our fatty tissue. So, for meats, for dairy, then yes, absolutely should be focusing on grass-fed, pasture-raised, focusing on wild-caught if we're talking about fish. But for the bones, if you have pasture-raised chickens or grass-fed beef bones, all the better. I'd much prefer that you make bone broth out of that. However, do not let the perfect be the enemy of the good. If you only have traditional or conventional bones, rather, you have conventionally raised bones from the animals, the bones of conventionally raised animals, then yeah, still use that. The benefits of bone broth greatly outweigh the detriments of it being not ideal. Just like I'd rather you have a steak at Applebee's than, say, a mac and cheese plate. It's so much better just make the best choice. So in terms of the bone broth, there's not going to be as much of a toxin load. We're not looking at a disturbed fatty acid profile. We're really looking at the bone broth for its amino acids, the glycine, the proline, the glutamine, and we're looking at it for the vitamins and minerals, particularly minerals, things like calcium, magnesium, phosphorus, things like that. So, man, what can we do for a headache? All right, I've done that one definitely before. I'll post at the end of this one again in the post credits. And essentially for headaches, it depends on what you're talking about. Long-term or immediate. Immediate relief, things like the CBD, things like kratom, things like white willow bark. Okay, that's the easiest one. Is run out to the store and just go and buy. White willow bark is the natural basis for aspirin. Okay, now in terms of short-term benefit, those are gonna be your best bets. White willow bark, CBD. Okay, now long-term, you have to make sure you're hydrated. That's a common cause of headaches. Make sure that you're sleeping right. I know I myself, those are the two biggest causes for me. If I have a headache, more often than not, I'm either dehydrated or I didn't sleep enough that night. I had too much work to do, too much homework, I had a paper due, whatever it was, and just didn't sleep enough. And then my head, the next day, I'm shot. And I pop some CBD. I take a couple drops of CBD. I'm ready to rock. Or I'm dehydrated, didn't drink enough for whatever reason that day. I drink some, just chug some water and ready to rock. Other issues though, so there are things like histamines and tyramines, and that gets down a whole nother rabbit hole that I'll post the video that I did on headaches there, foods that you may need to avoid. I've talked to you about your situation before. I don't really necessarily think that would be an issue for you, but it's definitely something to look into for long-term headaches. But for immediate relief, CBD, white willow bark, clears it out real quick. Craig, thanks, brother. I'll definitely talk to you soon, too, and I appreciate the feel better. Like I said, I'm actually feeling pretty damn good, despite how, don't look 100%, I know, but pretty close. Awesome. Glad I could help. Tavana, Norman, what's up, guys? I see you guys just joined. If you have any last questions, I'll probably be closing up shop in the next minute or two, unless there's some really in-depth questions comes up right now. But if you do have a question, please feel free to ask it. I'll run a little longer. But other than that, I'm keeping these ones half an hour. So, Tavana, Norman, Marianne, anybody else that's left, Josh, if you're still here, Kim, or whoever's around, if you have any last questions, now's time. Throw the question out, or wait till next week, or message me. Then I have content for the week. That'd be great. Or just poke me at the gym. Most of you come down to the gym. If you don't, come on down to see me, Long Island MMA, Long Island Strength and Performance, over at 590 Smith Street, Farmingdale. Got a shameless plug in there. Come down, give you guys trials. It's pretty. It's beautiful these days. So. All right, so if nobody's got any last questions, I know there's a little bit of a delay, so I'm kind of just going to ramble for a second while I wait for the last questions. But if not, guys, I truly appreciate you stopping by for the live stream, everybody that came down. If you're watching this on the replay, thank you for watching the replay. Either way, the fact of the matter is, I truly appreciate everything. Your questions were great. Keep shooting to me. Maybe I can help you out a little more. Otherwise, please head over to Instagram and Twitter. Follow me at Mike the Caveman over on YouTube. Now, this one's a big one. Over on YouTube, I'm at 99 subscribers right now. I need one more subscriber to get to 100. The reason why that's important is that once you get to 100 subscribers, and there's a couple other prereqs, but I already hit those a long time ago, you can actually brand your channel. So I'll finally be able to have the URL youtube.com/channel/Mike the Caveman. So I would truly appreciate if you haven't already subscribed to my channel over on YouTube, Mike the Caveman, if you could head on over there or find somebody. I just need one more. I definitely want more after that, please. I'm not saying once I hit the 100 to not subscribe, but if anybody who's on right now hasn't already, or they know somebody who could, would truly, truly appreciate it. I really want to be able to have that branded. And now he just did. Thank you. So I'll probably be able to do it. They'll probably notify me by tomorrow. I'll be ready to go. Thank you so much. But, yes, sweet. So, yeah, I guess we'll wrap it up here. Guys, thank you again. And have a wonderful rest of your evening. I'll see you tomorrow.